Hey everybody, we're back for another recap of Married at First Sight. It's your professional lovers in training, Patty and
Al.
And there's quite a little bit to talk about tonight. Pastor Cal went visiting. Well, first everybody moved in together, and then Pastor Cal went visiting.
The honeymoon is officially over.
There you go. And as real life begins, there's a little angst and excitement among the couples. They got to see where each other have been living prior to moving in, which can reveal things about people.
Definitely get a little more insight in understanding how a person maintains their own environment.
Right? So we can jump right into some of the issues that we saw unveil themselves, especially as Pastor Cal came in and started asking some probing questions.
Yeah.
We still hear this little bit of yours, mine, and ours, which we talked about last week, from Olivia and Brett's interaction. And we heard it a little bit tonight from Bennett. When Pastor Cal asked about whether or not he'd be willing to move should Amelia get a residency that's outside of New Orleans. He wasn't sure, and he made a comment that I wrote down because it was very telling. He was saying it just depends on what his priorities are at this juncture of his life. And I made the comment, you got married. That's supposed to be the priority.
Yeah.
And I understand, when you have built a life.
And that but he prefaced that before making that statement.
Yes, that he has his theater, his friends, his art, his singing. And yeah, I get that. But it was just kind of weird to hear him say it would depend on what the priorities are at this juncture. Well, at this juncture, you chose to get married.
Right. And they're saying, and you saying at this juncture, right now, that's not, not to say that it's not a question that they should address,
They have to address it.
You're right, they do. But being that it's not prevalent as it stands right now, I don't think it was something that he was ready for, as heavy a question as that is, because everything regarding them have been, that's like a low trajectory skyrocket.
Yeah.
Everything has just been a plus.
Yeah. And I'm only saying that or bringing that out because it's a dangerous
but
way to think.
And again, we go ahead, finish.
And he has not expressed that before. So I don't think that it's a huge issue at this point.
No.
But because the reality of her having to move is a huge issue and very possible, and we don't know, as he said, they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. But I'm just keying in on that, I just have to see what my priorities are. And I think that's a dangerous mindset to entertain when you have decided to get married.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And again, it's been 7 days.
9.
It was
9
7
days.
for some, depending on the day that Cal came by.
9 days.
Okay, 9 for them too. In his defense as a guy, in 9 short days, he has changed a major perspective that he has within himself and how he felt about child rearing.
Okay,
He felt that there was, enough born babies out there that needed homes and love, and he would supply it to each and every one that he decided to adopt, as opposed to having more. met Amelia, she wants to have her own, but she's open to adoption. But understanding he was very, I mean, that was his.
He had made a decision that he didn't want biological children.
And again, to me, when you talk about life-changing decisions, 2 in less than 2 weeks' time is pretty significant.
Yeah,
So
and that's a pattern.
I just think he's just not ready to address that right now.
Okay, and I get that.
Yeah.
But do you get what I'm saying?
No, I totally do.
Okay.
I totally do. I mean, you step into something that you're committed. You're stepping into something with someone else. So now you have to be not only vulnerable, but open and objective to the fact that there's going to be an invasion into your history and your pattern of life.
Well, and that's what we talked about last week with Olivia and Brett. That how she was talking was as though she was going to fit him into her life as it is.
Right.
Instead of creating a new life
melding the lives
with him.
Yeah.
And there's still
and that being the priority.
Right. And so all I'm saying is I heard that come out in Bennett's statement. Not that he would behave from that perspective, but that it just came out in that statement.
Yeah. Well,
and that segues into Olivia and Brett still operating from that mindset. But key to me tonight is that I said that even though Brett tried to come across as though her making more money than him wasn't a big deal, it's a big deal. I feel like he expressed all the hesitancies that he expressed, and the fact that she doesn't budget like he budgets, and he bought her home, and she's renting a home, and that's a waste of money, and and then as she started talking about wanting to be able to travel and do things and create memories together, and he was like, hey, if you're fitting the bill, great. And she's like, but no, that's not what I want. Well, then, hey, that's what it is. So if you want to do it, you can do it. I can't afford it, so I'm not doing it. So it's still a yours, mine mindset rather than
us.
Ours.
Yeah. Now, again, I think they can easily benefit one another just in what they both bring. He brings a certain discipline when it comes to financial literacy and whatnot. With his lesser means, he's a homeowner.
Yeah. Well, because he grew up with lesser means and because of whatever his salary is, he has learned the discipline of living within his means, which is a tip out of our book, Becoming a Professional Lover. Live within your means to avoid financial problems. Yeah. And you were saying that you don't think it was just, I was saying that he was coming across as being jealous of her ability to use her money in ways that he finds frivolous or wasteful.
Right. I almost think that it's more so of a disappointment in the fact that he feels that she may have been irresponsible with what she's earned and how much she's earned and not have anything to show for it other than her memories. I mean, she doesn't own a home. She doesn't have a condo or anything like that. She does have debt, which, I mean, that's 90% of people's lives.
Right. That's not unusual.
Right, it's not. But because of his energy and effort and how he has put into achieving what he's achieved, he's not thinking of, and as you indicated, the mine and yours, he's not thinking of how he can assist her in getting her out of debt. Them melding the two incomes to be one, and, moving forward in obtaining new property, bigger property, more property, but also incorporate those vacation time periods, but doing it responsibly, that it's not causing, as he indicated, his retirement being jeopardized and affected.
Right, and along those lines, it was interesting how when she was talking about, wanting to travel and wanting a husband who would travel with her and do things with her and create these memories, that he heard it completely different. And I had to write that down because that was major.
Mm-hmm.
When Pastor Cal asked him, what did you hear her say?
Yeah.
And he was like, I heard, I want to go spend a bunch of money and do expensive stuff, and you don't, and if you don't have the money to do that, then screw you. And I was like, how do we get all the way over to screw you? and that brings up,
because it's not his.
His
can't do that.
Yeah, and that's why I said it came across as him being jealous that she's been able to do that, or that's how she has chosen to use some of her income, mm-hmm. is to do fun stuff.
Right.
And so when she said, when she expressed her real fear, mm-hmm. which is not having someone to do things with and feeling like she's going to get locked down.
Yeah.
Financially. And
to
all they really want or need is a balance.
True. Yeah.
She needs a little bit more discipline, and he needs a little bit more loosening up.
Yeah. Exactly.
She needs to learn how to not overspend to have a good time.
Well, now, see,
and he needs to learn that some money is supposed to go to having a good time.
To enjoy. Yeah. You make money to enjoy money. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Whether it's obtaining your home to enjoy living in it.
But he was like, she's trying to make me bust my retirement. And it's like, no.
But again, I understand.
But that's what he heard.
And to his defense, that's a rare situation for a guy, I think, as young as he is, even thinking about really what his retirement will be.
And that's commendable.
Yeah.
Most of us are living check to check.
Right. I mean, he's willing to sacrifice to ensure that he's going to have some kind of future that, when he's not able to lift weights and do what he does to maintain his physique, that, he can still enjoy himself.
Yeah. So that's a major difference that they're really going to have to work through. And we'll talk about, give a little hint on how to do that from the book as well. But that goes over into Amani and Woody and the whole hair thing. Okay, so yeah, it is a stereotypical perception. And of course, stereotypes are formed because you run into so many people who think that way or do those things.
There's basis behind it.
But the stereotypical perception is that black men love hair. And, long hair.
White men love hair too.
Lots of hair.
Whatever.
Okay. I only have dealt with black men, so I can't speak for the white guys.
They do.
But so Woody and Amani got into a little difference of opinion when it came to hair, only to discover later on that it had nothing to do with hair.
Yeah.
Okay. But initially, he's like, if I don't like surprises. So, for instance, if you want to cut your hair, don't just come home with your haircut. Yeah, I need you to let me know before you do that. Which is kind of funny because I didn't remember that. I don't know how long we had been married and I got my hair cut and I picked you up from the train station and my hair was cut. Yeah. But you didn't flip out. You don't remember that. Your face looks like you don't remember that.
I don't.
I remember that.
We were married.
Yeah.
And you cut your hair.
Yeah. Because when we got married, my hair was kind of like just sitting on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of cut it short.
And you didn't discuss it with me?
No, I didn't discuss it with you.
The nerve.
Because I'm a hair person and I get bored. So it's short. You guys can kind of tell that. It's short, it's medium, it's been long, it's been short, it's been long, it's been medium,
And throughout all of those.
And thankfully,
lengths,
I don't have the stereotypical Woody who has this thing for hair.
But
thank goodness.
Again,
but it wasn't hair.
It wasn't about hair. It was about being involved in
decision making that impacts both because of past history.
Right.
And not just past history, but a woman making a decision to do something with her body, have an abortion, because she happens to be the carrier of the child without discussing it with him. Just like Amani's hair is on her head, and it's her choice to do with that what she wants, but it would impact him because he likes her hair.
Yeah.
So it was really a deeper need than just hair, because she was like, yeah, I don't need your permission to cut my hair.
True.
And she doesn't. But as I was saying, to me, if I like something about how you look, like I'm a beard person, and when he has a full beard, I love that, but he gets tired of it, and sometimes he wants some air, and so even though that's my preference, you have done it. And then you're like, okay, I need a change, and I'm like, okay, I'll miss the beard, but cool. And just like your preference might be hair, that would not always be beneficial for me, having to deal with that hair.
Doing your hair all the time.
So we have our preferences, and I believe that in a marriage you want to honor the preference, as much as you can. And sometimes, but that's not like, that shouldn't be a deal breaker.
No.
Right?
No, and you have to do things for yourself at times.
And so you have to, there's a tip in here in our book, Becoming a Professional Lover, Learning to Love God's Way, that says, settle your differences by meeting each other's present needs. And if you find that you're arguing about things that seem trivial, like when I decide to cut my hair or not, that it usually means that there's a deeper and underlying need that needs to be met or is not being met. That's the real issue. And that's why Pastor Cal kept talking about how you communicate in dealing with conflict is the real is the real element that you need to focus on. Because everybody's going to have conflict. And I know in new marriages, period, how you deal with conflict is
critical.
Is a huge deal in the beginning, because you still have this feeling like, well, I don't want to rock the boat.
You're navigating.
I don't want to make him mad.
Yeah,
I don't want to make her mad. I don't want him to walk away. So you're on these eggshells of, do I feel secure enough in the relationship to have conflict and disagreement and not risk making you mad enough to leave.
Yeah, not throw your hands up.
Yeah. And so even more so with them, because they didn't take time to date beforehand.
True.
And everybody handles conflict differently. So Woody and Amani, Olivia and Brett, and Karen and Miles. All talked about surface things that once Pastor Cal was probing, or the conversation became probing between the two spouses, uncovered the real need. Yeah. Karen's talking about, being cautious and, I want to make sure I see the real you in talking to Miles, and I said, she's setting up a self-fulfilling prophecy
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, the real fear is
Being
I don't
hurt,
want to be hurt.
which is understandable.
Absolutely. But in your quest to not be hurt, she's keeping herself closed to a guy who needs affection.
Mm-hmm.
And in her cautiousness would run the risk of getting hurt because she's keeping herself closed off.
Right. To not run the risk of getting hurt and not become vulnerable and open to the potential relationship that she's
And that's
in.
because she's bringing baggage from the last relationship where she really got hurt. And I understand cheating hurts. And then the fact that you would have a child while you're with me, with somebody else, that's massive. And the last tip I'm going to talk about from our book says, unresolved anger and resentment will destroy a marriage. Now, the tip is generally talking about a marriage from within, but in Karen and Miles' case, her bringing resentment and maybe some unresolved feelings from her past relationship,
baggage,
the hurt,
mm-hmm.
can also destroy the marriage before it even gets started.
True.
Because she's finding she's so scared about getting hurt, mm-hmm. that she's keeping walls up.
Unnecessarily. Unnecessarily to a fault of not allowing a relationship.
Well, unnecessarily because Miles is not that guy.
Right. He's paying a price for something that somebody else is paying.
And it is hard to make yourself vulnerable to someone else after you've been deeply hurt.
True.
But the fact that Karen, agreed to this process meant that she was agreeing to
the process,
make herself vulnerable.
Yeah,
so she's got to do it.
And that's the difference. You're married.
And yet, when Pastor Cal asked Miles, tell her what you need because you're in this too. And he said, well, I'm willing to put myself on the back burner. When she said, no, I don't want you to do that. I need to know. I want to see the real you. But it's kind of like you're saying on the one hand, I want to see the real you. But on the other hand, I can't give you what you want because I'm too scared. So it's like, where does that leave Miles?
Well,
who has to now figure that out?
But see, that's the thing about it. I mean, and again, she, there's an age difference there. There's a certain level.
Which she's worried about.
Yeah, there's a certain level, but she realizes that Miles is a little more mature than what she would think his age is indicating. Yeah, they're 4 years difference, but they're both grown. Whatever. I forgot what I was going to say, but basically, Miles is a giver, and that's what he's accustomed to doing because he knows in his past experiences, he's basically in his giving gotten what he has needed to a certain extent, mm-hmm. or the relationship would end. Mm-hmm. In this case, as a marriage, he's still willing to give and believes that he ultimately will get what he needs, even if he can't necessarily verbalize it. But he shouldn't restrict himself, as Pastor Cal said, well, as Karen said, you need to express who you are and what you feel and what you feel about each and every situation that's there because it will help her. Because again, to me, that was a seasoned response from her, mm-hmm. because it will help her navigate him and realize even more so in however it is that he's dealing with situations, who she's dealing with. Mm-hmm. And it gives her a better understanding, a better perspective, a truer perspective in what level of trust she has with the person that she's married to now. So
I just hope that when he does that,
yeah.
that she will respond in a way that lets him know that she's not just hearing him, but that she's considering him as well.
And I don't really think that's a problem because, again, it's not like she'll have to be giving up something that she's not getting.
Okay, explain that.
Well,
because she is going to have to give up the wall.
Yeah.
In order to...
But she's not getting a wall.
Okay.
So basically, it's not like she's giving up something that, she feels alone in doing.
No, but she is giving up her comfort. She's giving up her security in her cautiousness.
Okay. I look at it as, half full versus half empty. She's giving up her fear and becoming a little bit more comfortable and open and vulnerable in dealing with someone who is providing her more of himself so that she doesn't have to fear as much because she's realizing that this is not the same person.
If she lets herself do that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's time. That's a time factor.
Yeah. Which is why I think he can't say right now what he needs. Because what he needs as a giver, and that can be dangerous because that can become a codependent thing. Yeah. What he needs right now is for her to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Right.
So he's willing to not worry about what he personally needs for himself.
Right.
Because he wants her to feel comfortable. Right. And that satisfies him at this moment. But he is going to have to, at some point, be willing to say what he needs himself.
True.
Because then you will get resentment.
Oh yeah.
If the person who's dominant in the relationship is always getting their way, that gets old after a little while. So, and you don't want it to get out of balance that way, either.
True.
So little bits and pieces of the conflict.
Yeah. I was just wondering, did you want to spend the last 2 minutes talking about Christina and Henry?
Oh, I forgot about them. Whoa. So we got a bombshell tonight, I feel, because Henry indicated why he's going so slow. And Henry's going so slow
he's in a friendship mode
because he don't feel any chemistry with Christina.
Yeah, he insinuated that he didn't feel chemistry with her.
The inference was real clear to me.
Yeah, because you understand words. He said he referenced that he felt he needed what made his other relationships go faster or slower.
Well, as he described, that there have been relationships that went faster and some that went slower, and Pastor Cal was like, "So
how did the ones that
what made those
fast?
Right? Oh, well, initial chemistry. Like, sometimes there's a song that you just like right away, and then there are other songs that have to kind of grow on you. Christina is a song that got to grow on him.
That's not what he said.
That's the inference.
That totally all of that was inference. But
so Henry doesn't feel no chemistry. Why? Because he doesn't feel secure because of Christina's impatience, which we already knew from the beginning was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But the high maintenance, that was different. That was a new one.
Well, because she's talked about, again, flight attendant, gone here, there, doing this, doing that, and what she likes, and so on and so forth. And then I think he was caught off guard when he and that's the thing about him. He absorbs everything.
Yeah, he's an observer.
When I guess CBD is a location.
Central Business District or something like that.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
She claimed that she lived there Then when they were moving in,
her stuff is in storage.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally,
and in her car,
you could look at him when she said, "Yeah, well, my stuff is in my car, so we can move in anytime." He was like,
I thought she lived
downtown
in New Orleans.
Yeah. So, and then, for him to respond to Pastor Cal with, she's got a little diva in her, she's impatient.
No, he said high maintenance.
Or he said
Pastor Cal said she's a diva. And she said, yeah, I am.
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. And that's what let me know that Henry's a lot more observant than one might think. I mean, he moves slow, but I think he absorbs every single thing that is in front of him and understands it. Now, he may not say he may not even breathe.
He hasn't.
to let you know that he's involved and engaged. But, what woman is going to wait for that?
That's the thing. As Pastor Cal said. Pastor Cal said, Henry's observed all of this. Mm-hmm. And Henry has kind of, has a perception of Christina that turns out to be kind of realistic
mode.
But because of the lack of chemistry, he's just been sitting back and just doing nothing.
Yeah,
and
it's not fair.
It's not fair to her.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Because once again, we've seen, like in last season, and in other seasons, people one half of the duo checking out and just not really being committed to the process. Mm-hmm. And Henry, because of the lack of chemistry, is demonstrating that same kind of, I'm checking out because I really don't feel compelled to try to create any chemistry. Mm-hmm. Because
and we're putting a lot more words to it
than he did.
Than his efforts are showing in any shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah. And so, it's an unfortunate, I haven't felt, I don't know how many of us have really felt that they were a good match.
Yeah, from the beginning. I don't know if Henry's, I don't know if he ever would, but he has to make his own decision. I don't even think anybody could make a decision for Henry, because then he feels, overwhelmed because of the expectation.
Yeah.
And I think he's easily overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Looking at his efficiency.
Yeah. And he's, he could come around. But anything's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean.
But whether or not that's a probability, we'll have to find out. But I don't feel like it is.
I don't think so.
Because now we know that he feels no chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So